I didn't cry when I saw them together. I just stood there, frozen in the doorway, watching my best friend kiss my fiancé like I didn't exist. Like the last 10 years of our friendship meant nothing. She looked up, saw me, and smiled. Not guilty. Not sorry, just victorious. I turned and walked out of that apartment without a word. I didn't slam the door. I didn't scream. I didn't fall apart. I just left, and I kept walking. Past the streets I knew. Past the cafes where we used to laugh until our stomachs hurt. Past the park where she'd told me she'd always have my back. Past everything that reminded me of the life I thought I had. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. A text from her. Asterisk, we need to talk. Asterisk. I stared at those 4 words and felt something inside me crack. We need to talk. Not, I'm sorry. Not, please forgive me. We need to talk. Like I was the problem. Like I was overreacting. I blocked her number. Then I blocked his. And I kept walking. I walked until my feet hurt and the sky turned dark and the city lights blurred together like tears I refused to shed. I ended up in a part of the city I'd never been to before. Narrow streets, dim lights, graffiti on the walls. The kind of place you don't wander into by accident. But I didn't care anymore. What was the worst that could happen? I'd already lost everything that mattered. I sat down on a bench outside a closed shop and finally let myself feel it. The anger, the humiliation, the crushing weight of realizing the 2 people I trusted most had been lying to me for God knows how long. How long had it been going on? Weeks? Months? Had they laughed about me behind my back? Had she comforted me about our relationship problems while sleeping with him the whole time? I pulled my knees to my chest and stared at the cracked pavement. That's when I heard the footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. I looked up. 3 men. Walking toward me. Eyes locked on me, like I was prey. My heart kicked into overdrive. One of them smiled. Not friendly. Predatory. You lost, sweetheart? I stood up fast, my bag clutched against my chest. I'm fine. Just leaving. But when I tried to move past them, one of them stepped in front of me, blocking my path. Not so fast. This is our corner. You gotta pay a toll. I backed up. My pulse was pounding in my ears. I don't have any money. Then maybe you got something else. His hand reached for my arm. And then, touch her, and you lose the hand. The voice came from behind me. Deep. Calm. Lethal. The 3 men froze. I turned. A man stood a few feet away, half in shadow, half in the glow of a street lamp. Tall. Dark suit. Sharp jawline. Eyes like black ice. He didn't look like he belonged on this street any more than I did. But the way those men reacted to him, they knew him. And they were terrified. One of them stammered. We didn't know she was. Leave. That single word was enough. They scattered like rats. I stood there, trembling, trying to process what just happened. The man took a step closer. His footsteps echoed in the empty street. You shouldn't be here. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. Authority. I swallowed hard. I didn't mean to, I was just walking. He said it like it was the most foolish thing he'd ever heard. In this part of town. Alone. At night. I didn't know where I was going. His eyes scanned my face, taking in the tear stains, the exhaustion, the hollow look I couldn't hide. Bad day. I almost laughed. It came out bitter and broken. You could say that. He didn't ask what happened. Didn't pry. He just tilted his head slightly. Come on. I'll take you somewhere safe. I hesitated. Every rational part of me screamed not to trust a stranger. Especially not one who looked like he could kill someone without blinking. But the truth was, I didn't care anymore. Safe. Dangerous. What did it matter? Okay. He led me to a black car parked down the street. Sleek. Expensive. The kind of car that didn't belong in a neighborhood like this either. The driver opened the door without a word. Didn't even look at me. I slid into the back seat. The leather was soft. The interior smelled like expensive cologne and danger. The man got in beside me. The car pulled away smoothly, and I watched the dark streets blur past the window. What's your name? He asked. I looked at him. Really looked at him for the first time. Sharp features. Cold eyes. A jawline that could cut glass. But there was something else there too. Something buried deep. Pain, maybe. Or regret. Does it matter? I asked. A faint smirk tugged at his lips. I suppose not. We drove in silence for a few minutes. The city lights gave way to quieter streets. Cleaner. Safer. Then he said, "You're not from around here."
No.
What were you running from? I didn't answer right away. But something about the way he asked, no judgment, no pity, made me say it. Betrayal.
He didn't react.
Just nodded slowly, like he understood that better than most people ever would. Betrayal's worse than death, he said quietly. Death you see coming. You can prepare for it. Fight it. But betrayal, it comes from the people you'd never expect. The ones you die for. I turned to look at him. You sound like you know from experience.
His jaw tightened.
I do. We fell silent again. But this time, it felt different. Less like strangers and more like two people who'd both been burned by the same fire. Who are you? I asked. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Someone you should probably stay away from. Then why did you help me? He looked out the window. His reflection stared back at him in the glass. Because I know what it's like to be left for dead by the people you trusted most. The car stopped in front of a building.
Tall. Modern.
Glowing with soft light. A hotel. An expensive one. He got out and opened my door. Stay here tonight. Order room service. Sleep. Tomorrow go home. Forget this ever happened. I stepped out of the car, my legs unsteady. Why are you doing this? He looked at me for a long moment. And for just a second, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Something human. Because no one did it for me. And then he turned and walked away. But before he got too far, I called out. Wait.
He stopped.
What if I don't want to go home? He turned back, eyes narrowing slightly. Then you're more broken than I thought. I stepped closer. Maybe I am. Something flickered in his expression.
Surprise. Curiosity.
Maybe even recognition. Like he saw himself in me. What's your name? I asked again. He hesitated. Then, quietly, Dante. I nodded.
Thank you, Dante.
He studied me for another moment. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a card.
Plain. Black.
Just a phone number embossed in silver. He held it out. If you need help again.
Call.
I took the card. It was heavier than it should have been. And he walked away. I watched him disappear into the shadows. And then I went inside. The hotel room was nicer than anywhere I'd ever stayed. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A bed that looked like a cloud. A bathroom with marble floors. I stood at the window and stared out at the lights below. Somewhere out there, my ex-best friend and my ex-fiancé were probably together. Celebrating. Relieved that I'd finally found out and left. Maybe they'd even move in together now. Into the apartment we'd picked out together. The one I'd helped him decorate. The thought made my stomach turn. I pulled out my phone and stared at it. Part of me wanted to call them. To scream. To demand answers. But what would be the point? Nothing they said would change what they'd done. So instead, I turned off my phone. And for the first time in hours, I felt like I could breathe. I didn't call Dante the next day. Or the day after. But I kept the card. I went back to my apartment. Packed my things while my ex-fiancé was at work. I didn't leave a note.
Didn't say goodbye.
I just took what was mine and left. I ignored the calls from my ex-best friend. The texts that went from defensive to apologetic to angry. She tried every angle. Asterisk, you're overreacting. Asterisk. Asterisk, it just happened. We didn't mean for it to happen. Asterisk. Asterisk, you're throwing away our friendship over a man? Asterisk. That last one almost made me laugh. I wasn't throwing away our friendship. She'd already done that the moment she decided he was worth more than I was. I found a new place on the other side of the city.
Small.
Quiet. Anonymous. I started over.
New job.
New routine. New life. But 2 weeks later, everything changed. I was working late at the office. Everyone else had gone home. I finished up around 9 and headed down to the parking garage. It was empty, eerily quiet. I walked to my car, fumbling with my keys in the dim light. I got in, turned the key. Nothing. I tried again. Still nothing. "Come on," I muttered, turning the key harder. The engine sputtered and died. I pulled out my phone to call a tow truck. No signal. Of course. I got out of the car, frustrated, and started walking toward the exit to get better reception. That's when I heard footsteps. I froze. Turned around. 2 men, walking toward me from the shadows.
Not the same ones from that night.
But the same type. Predators. My heart started racing. "Car trouble?" one of them called out. I didn't answer. Just kept walking. "Faster now." "Hey, we're talking to you." I broke into a run. But they were faster. One of them grabbed my arm and yanked me back. I screamed. He clamped a hand over my mouth. "Shut up. This'll be quick." I bit down hard on his hand. He yelled and let go. I tried to run again, but the other one grabbed me from behind. "Stupid bitch." And then, a gunshot. It echoed through the garage like thunder. The man holding me let go and dropped to the ground. I stumbled forward, gasping. The other man pulled out a gun. But before he could aim it, another shot rang out. He fell too. I spun around and saw him.
Dante.
He stood at the entrance to the garage, gun still raised, smoke curling from the barrel. His face was cold, emotionless, like he'd done this 1,000 times before. He lowered the gun and walked toward me. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head, unable to speak. He looked me over anyway, checking for injuries. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. "Clean up. Parking garage. Level 2. He hung up, and then he looked at me. "You didn't call." I finally found my voice. "How did you? I know where you are. Always." A chill ran down my spine. Not fear. Something else. "Are you following me?" "Protecting you." I stared at him. "Why?" He stepped closer. Close enough that I could see the faint scar above his eyebrow. The coldness in his eyes that barely hid something warmer underneath. "Because the men who tried to hurt you that night? They work for someone. And that someone doesn't like losing." My stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means you're not safe. And you haven't been since the moment you walked into my world." I stared at him. "Your world." He stepped even closer. Close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. "I'm not a good man," he said quietly. "I run things in this city that you don't want to know about. And the people I deal with, they don't forgive. They don't forget. And they don't like it when someone interferes with their business." My heart was pounding. "Then why are you telling me this?" "Because you have a choice." He reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair from my face. His touch was surprisingly gentle for someone who'd just killed 2 men without hesitation. "Walk away now. Disappear. Start over somewhere far from here. I'll make sure no one follows you. You'll be safe. Or," his eyes locked onto mine, "or you stay, and I'll keep you safe myself. But that means you're mine to protect. No one touches you. No one comes near you. And I don't share." I should have run. I should have taken the out he was offering me. But standing there, looking into the eyes of a man who'd saved me twice without asking for anything in return, a man who'd killed for me without hesitation, I made my choice. "I'm staying." A slow smile spread across his face. Not the cold, calculated one from before. A real one. Dangerous and beautiful and terrifying all at once. "Then welcome to my world, sweetheart." The next morning, I woke up in a different bed. Not mine. Not a hotel. His. I sat up, panic flooding through me. But then I remembered. After the garage, he'd driven me here. To his penthouse. Said it wasn't safe for me to go home. I'd been too shaken to argue. I got up and walked into the living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. It was breathtaking. Dante was standing by the window, phone to his ear, speaking in a language I didn't recognize.
Italian, maybe. His voice was low.
Commanding. He saw me and ended the call. You're awake. I nodded. What happens now? He walked over to me. Now you disappear. At least, as far as the rest of the world is concerned. What does that mean? It means you don't go back to your apartment. You don't go back to your job. You stay here, with me, until I deal with the people who want to hurt you. My stomach twisted. How long will that take? He smiled. It was cold. However long it takes. I should have been scared. I should have demanded he let me go. But I didn't. Because deep down I knew the truth. I didn't want to leave. The next 6 months changed everything. Dante wasn't just dangerous. He was powerful. He controlled half the city, had people everywhere, saw everything, and he kept me safe. But more than that, he saw me. Not the broken girl who'd been betrayed. Not the victim who needed saving. He saw the fire underneath, the anger, the hunger for something more. And he fed it. He taught me how to defend myself, how to shoot, how to spot danger before it found me. He showed me his world, the meetings, the deals, the power plays. And somewhere along the way, I stopped being the girl I used to be. I became someone new, stronger, sharper, unafraid. And Dante? He became everything. Not just my protector, my partner, my equal, the man I'd die for, the man I'd kill for. One night, 6 months after everything changed, I got a text from my ex-best friend. She'd somehow gotten my new number. Asterisk, I miss you.
Can we please talk?
Asterisk. I stared at the message, and for the first time in months, I felt nothing. No anger, no pain, no longing for what we used to have. Just nothing. I showed the message to Dante. He glanced at it and handed the phone back. What do you want to do? I thought about it. About the girl I used to be. The one who would have forgiven her. Who would have taken her back. But that girl was gone. Nothing, I said. She doesn't matter anymore. Dante smiled. Good. He pulled me close. Kissed my forehead. You're better than her. Better than all of them. And for the first time since that night, I walked away. I believed it. A month later, I saw them. My ex-best friend and my ex-fiancé. At a restaurant across the street from one of Dante's clubs. They were arguing. She looked miserable. He looked angry. Guess the fantasy wasn't as perfect as they thought. I could have gone over there. Could have confronted them. Made them see what I'd become. But I didn't. Because I didn't need them to see it. I already knew. I walked into Dante's club. He was waiting for me at our usual table. He stood when he saw me.
Pulled out my chair.
Everything okay? I nodded. Perfect. And I meant it. Because I'd walked away from betrayal. And found something better. Something real. Something worth fighting for.